Hey, welcome to Board with Life News. This is my top 10 list of most anticipated games coming out at Essen 2017. Hey, thanks for tuning in. So this is a list of my top 10 games coming out at Essen 2017. I pulled from the Board Game Geek list that has over 800 games. I went through all of them, decided the ones I was most excited about, and they made the list. These are only standalone games, no expansions. They are all for sale at Essen, not just demoed, and none of them have been previously released at like Gen Con or something like that over in the US. So without further ado, let's get to the list. So a little special mention before we actually get into the list. Favelas is a game that's coming out at Essen 2017 that I'm actually most excited about because I designed it, and it will be my first published game coming out. It's coming out from WizKids Games, Kwanchai Moria, one of my favorite board game artists of the art. It looks awesome in my opinion. So yeah, it's a little 30-minute tile laying game where you're actually stacking the tiles vertically instead of laying them out on the board. So I'd encourage you to check it out if you like tile laying games or kind of like light Euros that are pretty quick playing. So into the actual list now. Number 10 is Tibor der Baumeister. This is designed by Alexander Pfister, that's why it's on the list. I absolutely love Alexander Pfister. He's one of my favorite designers in the past couple years. This is a drafting game where you're drafting cards, but they're multi-purpose cards. I think they can be used for 3 different things. So it seems like a pretty straightforward drafting thing. It's just how you're going to use the cards, which seems kind of interesting. It also said that it contained different chapters and scenarios, so I'm not quite sure how that is. I know that it's set in the Oh My Goods universe, world, whatever, which was a game of his a couple years back, and I think that expansion introduced kind of like a legacy thing. I never played the expansion, so I'm not sure. So it might be like that. But I'm excited about it just on the strength of Alexander Pfister. Number 9 is Meeple Circus. This is a dexterity game where you're stacking meeples and you have kind of different objectives you want the strong man to be holding this other meeple, or you want it to be this tall or whatever. So you're racing to stack meeples in like a kind of circus environment, but it's got a ton of meeples. It's got like horse meeples and elephant meeples and tiger meeples and all sorts of stuff. It seems like a fun, silly dexterity game. I like fun, silly dexterity games, so pretty excited about this one. Number 8 is Mini Park. This is a game where you're collectively between all of your competitors building a really beautiful park. It has really pleasant artwork. I like it a lot. There's tons of different ways to score points. I'm a big fan of point salad stuff, so this seems like that kind of thing. And it's got kind of multiple difficulty levels, so it can scale up and down. So if you're playing with kids, you can make it easier. If you're playing with adults, you can make it harder. I like games that do that a lot. This just looks like a really pleasant little game, so I'm excited about it. Number 7 is the Fast Forward games coming out from Friedman Fries. I kind of cheated a little bit because this is actually 3 different games, but they're all kind of based around the same idea, so I snuck all 3 of them in right here. Last year, Friedman Fries came out with Fabled Fruit, which was a card game that kind of evolved. You played through a stack of cards, and as new cards came out, there would be kind of new rules introduced to the game, things like that. It wasn't Legacy in that you'd rip it up or anything, but it was kind of the storytelling element of Legacy where the game evolved and changed as you played it. Well, he's taken that idea and now he's applied it to a bunch of other games. So the 3 coming out this year are Fear, Flee, and Fortress, and they're different games. One of them's a co-op, there's like Push Your Luck, that kind of stuff. And they're smaller, I think, than Fabled Fruit, so they won't take as long to go through. I think it's like 12 plays through it. But they also don't have any rules. There's no rule book where the cards themselves just introduce the new rules to the game, so you can apparently immediately just sit down and start playing it. So that seems pretty cool. I'm excited about all 3 of them. Number 6 is Noria. This is actually by first-time designer Sophia Wagner. She was the recipient of the Spiel des Jahres Fellowship in 2015, so that's pretty interesting. The game is a really beautiful, evocative world, and it has this interesting new mechanic called wheel building, where there's like 3 tiered wheels, so 3 wheels on top of each other, that can turn, and then you're putting in different kind of tiles in those that are how you activate actions. So it's really interesting. It's kind of Tzolk'in-esque, I think, but that seemed really interesting to me. I like kind of that kind of stuff and action selection in that way, so it seems kind of new and innovative, so I'm interested in this one. Number 5 is Merlin. This is the new game coming out from Stefan Feld. Stefan Feld is one of my designers, so his games are always going to make my top 10 lists. In this game, you're Knights of the Round Table, and also there's Merlin, and the round table itself, I guess, is a rondel, so you're moving around the table trying to activate different actions in different spots. There's a ton going on, different player boards, different other stuff, so like a lot of Feld games, it seems very point salad-y, and this seems like a mid-weight Stefan Feld game, so I'm pretty excited about that. Number 4 is Altiplano. This is designed by Rainer Stockhausen. He designed Orleans a couple years back. That's one of my favorite games that's come out in recent years. Orleans was a bag building game, probably my favorite bag building game, and Altiplano is apparently going to also be a bag building game. So that's where most of my excitement comes from. In it, you're getting different resources and trading goods and stuff. I wasn't super clear on it, but it's a bag building game from him, so I'm excited about it. I just have to decide if I'm going to wait to see if Tasty Minstrel Games does a deluxeified version with wooden pieces instead of chits for the bag building like they did for Orleans. I was a huge fan of that production of it, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get it at Essen or wait and hope. So we'll see. Number 3 is Niesford. This is designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Uwe Rosenberg is another one of my absolute favorite designers. This is a worker placement game, like a lot of Uwe Rosenberg games are. In it, you're fishermen competing. You're all on the same fjord, and you're trying to kind of build up your infrastructure and have the most productive fishman place. So theme's not huge, just like most of Rosenberg's games, but I really liked Feast for Odin that came out last year, his last like big box game. This one looks interesting. This one seems like it has an interesting element where you can buy shares of other people's companies. So like if you're doing really well but you're not buying shares in your own company, other people can get points based off how well you're doing. That seems pretty cool. So yeah, it's Uwe Rosenberg. Great. He's a great designer. Number 2 is Azul. This is coming out from Plan B Games, and it's a Michael Kiesling game, another very, very good designer. This is a tile laying game where you're actually laying decorative tiles, like the theme of the game is laying tiles. But the tile pieces they have are these like really nice plastic pieces that have, I guess, baked on. They're kind of like the Star Wars Destiny dice, where it's not screen printed, but it's actual like patterns that are set into the plastic somehow with like wizardry and magic. But the production value is incredible. It looks gorgeous on the table. I love tile laying games, so the combination of that production value with tile laying and Michael Kiesling is a must-buy for me. And number 1 is Charterstone. This is a legacy-style Euro game by Jamie Stegmaier, who did Scythe, as well as a bunch of other games. This looks like a worker placement, very kind of Euro-y Euro, that also has legacy elements, so the board evolves, you sticker the board, there's new places, you discover new areas, and it kind of lasts from game to game. So I'm a big fan of legacy games, and I am a huge fan of Euro games, so this one seems kind of like the most clean combination of the two. So I'm really excited about it. Jamie Stegmaier always puts a ton of work into his designs and the production and all that kind of stuff, so you can trust that it's going to be a really solid game. So yeah, super excited about this one. I've been excited since he mentioned it about a year ago. And with that, those are my top 10 games coming out at Essen 2017. I have a list linked in the description below if you're interested to see some more games. I think I have 72 games on my Board Game Geek list of things that I was interested in that didn't make my list. There's a ton of really great games coming out this year. It was incredibly hard to cut the list down to only 10 games. But I have to because we're not going to be here all day. So with that, please subscribe to this channel, like this video if you like it, if it's helpful. I do board game news videos that come out every single week where I cover the hottest things going on kind of in the board game world, so if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe. I also do a Patreon that's linked in the description below, so if you have a little bit extra money and you appreciate what I do, it'd be cool if you could throw it my way. No worries if you can't. You should follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter, and I think that's it. I'll be back next week with news, and then I think after that I'm going to be at Essen, so I'll have a couple weeks off. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.